Hello students and welcome back to Hexxit Education. This is lesson number 13, and today we're going to take a break from our tools and weapons series to talk about what I'm going to call miscellaneous blocks. And we're going to talk specifically about the blocks from 3 mods. This is not all the blocks from those mods, just the ones that kind of are useful but are a little bit unusual. So I even give them their own lesson. We're talking about primarily the blocks from Tinker's Construct, from Artifice, and from Obsidiplates. And we're going to dive into that right now. Okay, so over here we have Tinker's Construct miscellaneous blocks. Now the first thing I want to talk about are these. This is a heart canister, and I'm just going to show you the recipe for it and talk about that for a moment. Okay, so this is a block from Tinker's Construct. It consists of a necrotic bone, which is a rare drop off of the wither skulls, wither skeletons, about the same category as wither skulls. I think we talked about this in our an episode on mats and modifiers, because it is a modifier, and whether or not you want to use it for what weapon or modifier or for this is up to you. I recommend you use it for this application. We also have a miniature red heart. This is a drop, somewhat rare, but not impossible. Just keep killing things, and you'll eventually get several of these. The empty canister, simple to make. All you need is 4 aluminum ingots. You can find that all over the place. And the next is a jeweled apple, which is just an apple with 4 diamonds. And believe me, diamonds are not that hard to find around here. You'll have no trouble finding that. The difficult part is the necrotic bone. You basically have to farm a stronghold in order to get a sufficient quantity of these things. You can go through, and there are, I believe, my understanding is that there is a higher spawn rate of dungeons. Is a higher spawn rate of nether fortresses within Hexxit. I think it's just the way that the coding works. But they're very hard to find, and for good reason, because if you watch my hearts now, I believe this will restart, but I'm not certain about it. So I'm just going to do this. Okay, so I am. Hang on a second. No, I'm in normal. Oh, there we go. Okay, so they changed it again. Okay, look down at my heart bar. Do you see the 2 different colors there? Okay, what it used to do is it used to give you a second row, but I think they changed it. So let's go all the way. Wait for it to regen, and it should go all the way up. You can go. You start with 10 hearts. You can upgrade yourself to 20 hearts. So essentially doubling your health. And that's the other thing. I just used all 10 of those. That would have taken a very long time to find in game, but if at all possible, I'd recommend trying to locate these and make them, because as good as armor, as good as weapons are, nothing beats having twice as much health. So next up, we have the Landmine, and this is something that I'm only just sort of learning about right now. I'm going to switch to cheat mode so I can get some stuff. Actually, first I want to show you the recipes for these, because they're a little different for each one. Again, from Tinker's Construct, we have the sort of redstone landmine. Okay, now this is made with a blank cast, and that's made with either gold or aluminum brass. We talked about it in our first episode on Intro to Tinker's Construct. You combine that with, in this case, redstone, a stone pressure plate, and redstone repeaters. And this one reacts with redstone only. Now this one interacts with players in redstone. You make this one with obsidian and a similar kind of layout. Next one interacts with mobs, players, and redstone, and it's made with stone. And finally, with everything, it's just made with wood. So let's play with this a little bit, shall we? So first one, I'm going to put redstone only, and now we have players in redstone. And this one we have mobs, players in redstone, and this one is, I believe, interacts with everything. So this is the most volatile of all. So let's see what happens when I just walk over it. Am I still in creative mode? No, I don't think so. That's odd. Okay, let's just try walking over this one. Huh. Okay, be right back. And I'm back. And it's dark, so there we go. Okay, and I'm back, and I realized what I did wrong. So essentially, these landmines are empty. You have to actually load them. So I'm going to right-click. There we go. So I believe you can just put different things in there. And actually, I'm not even sure what this is for. Come to think of it. Okay, so let's see what happens. Just so I wanted to clean up too much mess. I'm just gonna put one TNT per. I'm confused why they're putting 3 different things here. I guess it's possible you put up to 4 stacks of something. So this is one I guess with everything. So hopefully it won't do too much damage, and hopefully it won't cause a chain reaction. But if it does, then I'll clean it up. So. Okay, so that was a direct hit with a single TNT landmine, and as you can see, I went down to 2 hearts, and I was at 20. So that was 18 hearts worth of damage, massive amount. Okay, so I'm just gonna pillar back up. Oh, interesting. So it was close enough that it knocked off the second one, which was the interacts with mouse players in redstone. And we've also got players in redstone. Okay, so this one should be one that's safe, I think. Yes, this one is redstone only. So let's say you want to do something defensively, you can say run past this, hit a switch, then that activates and then it blows up. So that makes sense. So again, this is listed as a defensive weapon, but I guess it could be used offensively. However, it's not very useful as an anti-personnel device. But just so you know, this is available in the world, and that was one TNT hitting dirt, just for your comparison purposes. And they're easy enough to disarm. Good to know. Okay, so that was the landmine. Oh, but I need more dynamite. So, moving on, we have... Where is this? Oh, we have the drawbridge. Now, again, I haven't actually used this thing very much, but I understand the theory behind it. Okay, so essentially, a drawbridge is used to extend or retract a line of blocks. Okay, in this case, it's pointing this direction. So I believe you right-click on here and you get it GUI, and you set the direction, and I think you hit that. Oh, that's the camouflage option. I forgot about that. Okay, so this is what it appeals. See, if I want to, I just make it look like a block of dirt. That's kind of cool. But what I actually want is to load it up with a stack. I believe that's the max you can put. And I need the redstone signal in order to activate it, so I'm just going to drop one here. And it came up until this torch, so what happens if I do this? Oh, okay, it interrupts the signal. So I don't want to give it, full rain, but I believe when you disconnect the signal, it retracts. So let's say, for example, that you had, say you had a base, and in this particular base, you wanted to give. Okay, and I'm back. First thing, important note: the drawbridge will place in the direction that you're facing. So, facing this way. So this is a little aperture here, and that's the way it's going to appear when you put it through it. So I believe when you right-click on it, the direction you're facing is one that. So it's here. So I'm going to push left, and it should, when I apply redstone signal to it, extend up until a point where it can't move any. Okay, so that had it one before, but I just need a block update. So if I do this, it will retract. So, but let's say, for example, if I have, like I do, some redstone. I think this works this way. Yeah, I think it has to be this way because, again, I'm not that best at good redstone, but I believe if you put it here, it won't affect it the same way that a directional line will. So I'm just going to put a couple over here, then put. I cut this wall down a little bit, for demonstration purposes. There we go. So. Okay, so you see I have torches and drawbridges. So let's say, for example, if you had a base over here and you had the edge of a cliff over here, and you wanted an area that goes back and forth. That is, you want a drawbridge that extends and retracts when you command. All you have to do is hook up to a switch and instant bridge. And best thing, all you have to do is maybe if you wanted to hook this up over here, set up some kind of, I think it's called a T-flop or whatever, on both sides. You could hit it from the other side and close it up. Very useful. Oh, one very important note about these blocks from Tinker's Construct. In this version of Hexxit, which I believe is version 1.10, it uses the 147 version of Tinker's Construct, in which these particular blocks are an integrated part. However, in the later versions of Tinker's Construct, these are actually part of a separate mod that's associated with Tinker's Construct. It's called, I believe it's called Tinker's Tools, or a tool mod, or something like that, but it's a separate mod. So if you want to install it separately and you want to install Tinker's Construct on a more recent version of Minecraft, you may not necessarily get the landmine or the drawbridge or this. This is an igniter. And I remember in an early episode of BW100 series, he made a series. What he did was he made a. Not going to work. He made a fireplace that essentially had netherrack and so it was netherrack here, and it was a dropper with a switch underneath, and then inside inside the dispenser was several flint and steel. So what would happen is it would activate the redstone signal, it would hit the flint and steel with a very brief pulse, which would ignite the netherrack here. But he arranged it in such a way that if he clicked it again, he had water in another dispenser. That one would again pulse, ignite, extinguish the water, and but not drop it, just like sort of boop boop in and out. That way, it also attached to a sticky piston controlled door. So essentially, he would walk through, activate it, and be able to walk through the door, and it would extinguish the fire, and then it would light a new one out of the same dispenser. This is a little different, as far as I can tell. All this does is set fire to things, but fortunately, it's just temporary. So let's say if I was to do. Am I actually that? Oh. I keep calling it a switch, but it's not a switch, it's a lever. So if I were to hit this, it gets a continuous signal and it keeps working. But if I were to make, I need some stone. If I were to make a button and put it here, wow, that is a really short time. Okay, so basically this can be used in a number of ways. You use it as an anti-personnel device because it obviously sets things on fire when it's down the opposite direction. But I think the most useful way is, like I said, about using a hidden fireplace doorway. I think you have to, given how how quick that thing is to fire, I think you have to attach this to a signal shortener. And to be honest, I don't actually know how to make one of those, but I believe it is possible to make that. So you want a very, very brief tick, like a dunk, and just use it once, because otherwise you get the sound of ants tap dancing on marble. Okay, so that's the igniter from Tinker's Construct. And like I said, it's mostly used for setting things on fire and the similar thing. All right, next we're going to talk about one thing I think is kind of cool. I'm curious to see what happens with this, honestly. So I'm going to switch to creative mode. Actually, I'm going to set it to midnight because I'm spawning a couple of bad guys. And so what I'm putting down now is consecrated soil. And this is also blocked from Tinker's Construct, and it's used in the modifiers to make smite. So what happens if I push these guys? Interesting. Okay, so that's not actually a good test, but it looks like when they walk over, they take 1 tick of damage. So it's essentially like it's the same mechanics as if they were in sunlight. But I'm actually going to risk something, and I'm going to switch to survival mode. Come on, come on. Okay, this is a bad idea. Okay, hide behind the buildings. I think they're shooting each other. Yep. Okay, so what I wanted to see is what happens when you put... I was right. Okay, so yeah. So in survival mode, if his pathfinding takes him continuously through the consecrated soil, he will take continual damage as if he was caught by sunlight, and he will also catch things on fire. Okay, that's what I was looking for. But in creative mode, it only takes the 1 damage, which makes sense. Okay. So that is consecrated soil, harmful to undead. Now there is also, I believe it's called cursed soil, which actually heals the undead. So, cool. Okay, a little impromptu lesson here, because we're going to switch to survival mode. Hear the sound. This is a star piece, and it's actually a kind of a cool little item. It's used to make a number of things, but most notably a star shard, or there we go, a star stone. And a star stone, if you use it with Obsidian to make a skybeam block. And I'm a little weary about exactly how it works, but my understanding is that if you place a certain kind of sword in a sword pedestal next to it, I think it's like 1 or 2 blocks above it, it will regenerate the durability of that weapon. I think you can also use it to make these starbeam torches, which I never have. I think I will get to these when we get to our special Legend Gear mod lesson. However, I believe that they're used kind of like zip lines to sort of transport yourself from one place to another, or maybe just walk from one place to another. But we'll get to that all in due time. So for now, I'm going to switch back to Dawn. Get rid of that skeleton that's still out there. And okay, next up we have... Oh, yeah, these are very handy little things. Okay, so we're all familiar with this. This is a perfectly ordinary crafting table, probably this is the first thing that you make when you do Minecraft. Just takes four planks of almost any kind. One thing I will add though is I believe this is with Tinker's Construct combined with Natura, or it might be just be Natura in itself. Natura being made by the same guy as Tinker's Construct, and you use sort of a complement to it. Is this? This is a pink crafting table, which is made using eucalyptus wood. It's functionally the same, does the same kind of stuff as a normal crafting table, meaning that if you leave stuff in there and then walk away, it will just drop on the ground. However, it also includes this, a crafting station, and this also a crafting station. This is kind of like a crafting station slab almost. And the difference between a crafting table and a crafting station is that when you drop stuff in here and go away, it stays put. So essentially you have 9 items worth of storage, and most importantly, it's like, oh, where's that piece I missed? You go over your chest, grab the item, come back, stays in place. Now I'm a little confused as to exactly what contributes to this, because I also play a version of Feed the Beast where this does not exist, so I'm not totally sure which version of Tinker's Construct it comes from, but it does exist in this version of Hexxit. So I highly recommend if you make it as soon as you get a chance. And I'll show you how. They're very simple to make. Well, you can always cheat them, that's true. But all you have to do is just take a crafting table and run it through your inventory. Simple as that. And make this one, you need 3, but you also make 3 little things. So let's say, for example, you have like a you want to make like a countertop. Actually, it's not a bad idea. Take a countertop of like blocks, put it here, and in a workshop, and then put a layer of half slab crafting tables on top of that. Pretty cool. So again, I highly recommend these as soon as you can. Very simple to make. Very good addition from Tinker's Construct. Okay. Oh, so next, for our next item, we're gonna go over to our library where I have our enchanting area, and it's just over this way. Because next time we're going to talk about is the essence extractor, and I haven't really played much around with this. I know in other mod packs they've developed ways of solidifying, bottling, or even in some cases liquefying experience, but in this case we just have the essence extractor. Now the essence extractor is an end game item because the way you craft it is with end stone. So you need basically you need emerald and end stone with a book. So it's essentially a variation on the enchanting table design. But you have to go to the end in order to find it. So it's in Hexxit you can go to the end. You obviously you can go to the Nether, all that stuff. Actually, I recommend you go to the Nether as soon as you can. So hopefully you can find another city. But the end is not the be-all end-all of Hexxit. Hexxit has much more interesting stuff than simply the end. But I'm going to go over here and drop that down. Yeah, there we go. So you see what happened? Okay, so here's how I'm learning as you learn. What you do is you left-click on here. Sorry, you right-click on here. It drops all of your levels into there. So let's say you're going into a particularly dangerous area, you can just drop it off and put it somewhere else. You can then left click it to get an essence crystal. An essence crystal contains all of the levels you just put into it. So this is sort of a single use item. However, you can store these essence crystals, and it'll say how much levels are in there. So you can have a chest full of essence crystals for use when you want it. So it's very useful if you're starting off early in the game, you're dying quite a bit. But actually you can't because it's an end game item. But you can store your levels for later, and then when you want to use them, you essentially eat the crystal, get your levels back, then go right to your enchanting table and enchant to your heart's delight. Very cool. But again, this is an end game item. We're not going to be able to make it when you first start out, but it is somewhat useful as sort of a backup. In case you think you're going to die in the near future, you don't want to lose your levels. Because once you get, as most people know, once you get longer into Minecraft, certain kinds of resources become much less important, and experience becomes much more of a valued resource. Okay, moving on, we're going to be talking. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Artifice mod and some of the blocks that come in through that. So here we have frames, and frames serve several functions. Most notably, that they are I believe they're part of the recipe. Yeah, part of the recipe in order to make various things like detectors, which we're not going to talk about today, and glass walls, and scaffolding, most importantly. But you can, I believe, use frames just as they are, and they come in 4 different versions, and you just reflect the difficulty of constructing them. So basic is wood and sticks. You have wood and iron, all iron, and then advanced, which is steel and more steel. So what these are used for is essentially a building block. And I just want to check. Yes, yeah, I'm going up on the side. Nothing's happening. They're basically used as a scaffolding. So if you wanted to frame something out, you can use it with this and just mark around it. And I believe, I knock at the bottom and nothing happens. To be honest, I'm not totally sure what the difference in quality is, except in order to make the more advanced other blocks, which are, we have the blast wall. Now the blast wall is actually most useful when you're dealing with nuclear materials for certain mods, but into themselves they're kind of useful if you wanted to make a creeper stadium or something like that. And they're basically just walls. See, it's pitch black. This thing is, I'm just trying to break it now. Yeah, you can break it, but it actually has a higher blast resistance than Obsidian. So, pretty useful little thing. In general, I mean, oh, okay. So, we learned something very important today. That the texture pack for these is incomplete. Yeah, see, it's coming up in the NEI as complete. However, when I put down basic, reinforced, industrial, and advanced, they all come out with the same black color. So the texture pack for these has not been completed, which is just as well, because they're not really that useful in itself in Hexxit, because we're doing a lot with explosives. Well, with the exception of actually one episode in the future when I may employ these over there when we talk about the hunter's handgun and various explosive rounds we're going to be using. So in general, not so useful, and aesthetically, they're just blocks. So moving on, we have glass walls, and I believe these are a little bit stronger than regular glass. Let's see if they have the same error. Nope. Okay, so let me see here. Yeah. So most importantly, they don't break, don't shatter when you mine them, so you can get them back. And they look kind of interesting. I can imagine that being as kind of a bunker or something. But similar to the clear glass you get from smelting, you can get them back and move them around. So that's pretty useful. But I'm going to say most important of all of these is this, scaffolding. And scaffolding is sort of like, you know how when you're building something kind of odd, like maybe you're building a base on the side of a cliff, and you have to pillar up and use gravel or sand, and then you got to find a way to get down, and then you're not sure how to get rid of it. Well, for one thing, you can climb, not very easily, but you can climb scaffolding. Not quite sure why I took damage there, but yeah, scaffolding is really made to go up only. But you can climb it. It's very similar to vine mechanics. But the main benefit of scaffolding is that once you're done building stuff, you hit the bottom part, and the whole thing collapses. Easy as that. Very, very useful building material. And again, in terms of the way it looks, basic, reinforced, industrial, and advanced. I don't think that there's much of a functional difference between them. I mean, it's just scaffolding. It's used. Oh, sorry. Yes, there is one very important difference. And let me see if I can. I'll be right back. And I'll explain it to you. Okay, so in summation, the difference between these different types of scaffolding is purely aesthetic, as far as I can tell. I thought there was a way for you to build a little differently with each one, but no. It's essentially the same thing. Most useful when you're building hide things and want to. Oh, that didn't work. Oh, that was a frame. That's why. I want to collapse it soon afterwards. Okay, so that's. Oh, two more things I want to add before we finish with Artifice, and that is, I think you've already seen this before, but I'm going to show you anyway. At the surface of our playground there is made with this. This is basalt cobblestone, not to be confused with basalt, which is actually found in volcano dungeons. And this is added through Artifice, and it's just a nice little aesthetic type of block. You can do a lot with it. The other thing is marble, and this is marble cobblestone. When you find it, it's much more white, almost like a wool in color. And again, it's just for aesthetics. But I find these both have a nice addition. You have now you have a 3-color palette in order to move your cobble. Well, actually more than 3, because you also have red cobblestone in here too. So a few more things you can use to make your bases with. And as a matter of fact, I think it was my last Hexxit map. What I did was I took the marble, basalt, regular stone cobblestone, and red cobblestone, and I built a tower in 4 sections. So I had sort of one black, one marble, one regular cobble, and one red. And you can sort of imagine quarters of I think it was a 20 diameter tower. Maybe each one of those. It took me a little while to find, especially the red, but it was worth it. Very cool little effect I got. Okay, so moving on, and we've definitely gone past the half-hour mark, so I apologize for that. We're talking about Obsidiplates, and this is a wonderful little mod, and I really wish, well, not the whole thing, but I wish Mojang would add this in the regular game. Simply put, Obsidiplates are obsidian pressure plates, and the difference is between obsidian pressure plates and regular pressure plates is that when you use the obsidian ones, I need more than one. Where is it? There it is. There you go. When you use the obsidian pressure plates, they are only activated by players. So this is the thing you want to have in front of your front door if you're worried about mobs coming in uninvited. Because it will only react to players crossing it, which is incredibly useful, as you can imagine. Now, as a simple application, I recommend you put that on all your doors. Just make it easier to go get in and out when you get a chance. And it's obsidian. Just make it like a normal pressure plate. You just need 2 pieces of obsidian, and you can make one of these pressure plates. Totally worth it. Now, the other aspect of it is a little more unusual, and this is okay. I'm going to show you, because they add 2 other functions to pressure plates. These are not terribly useful unless you want to like troll your friends. So let me try and find some ground here. Okay, so this is a shrouded obsidian pressure plate. So this will only be affected by players, but as you can hear, you can't see it. I mean, it looks a little bit darker, but unless you knew it was there, you can almost never find it. If this was on an even darker plate, you'd probably never be able to find it. However, you can still hear it. That's where this comes in place. This is a silent pressure plate. And let me just show you how these are made. Okay, so make a silent pressure plate. You just add wool to an obsidian pressure plate and make it shrouded, you add glowstone and nether quartz. That's pretty expensive. But to make one that is both, which is this, you need to take a silent one and add the glowstone to it. Essentially just add the recipe for both together. And the benefit of this is that you can't see it and you can't hear it. It doesn't make that clicking noise, so anyone runs over that, they'll have no way of knowing what's going to happen to them. You could put a stack of TNT under there and they would have no idea until it blew them sky high. Okay, so that's the obsidian plates, and then there's sort of the opposite of the obsidian plates. That is the mossy cobble pressure plates. And while the obsidian plates are only affected by players, the pressure plates, mossy pressure plates, are only affected by mobs. So if you want to make a mob trap in a certain place where you know you're going to be walking through also, and you want to be affected by it, just use these. Any mob walks over there, it's affected by it, but you wouldn't be. One good place to put this would actually be in an ender, because I know in most designs you use pistons attached to pressure plates for that. But if you ever need to do maintenance in it, it's kind of a very dangerous proposition. But if you use these, you won't be affected by it. Only the Endermen around you. Okay, so I believe we've come to the end of our episode on miscellaneous blocks. There's quite a few more, I'm sure, in this game, but this is sort of a cross section of sort of the ones that are really optional to use. They're mostly used in building and defending your base, but they are in the game, and they could add an interesting little dimension. Especially, I recommend the drawbridge right behind me. That's kind of cool, especially if you want to make a sky castle or something similar. But this has been Canister for Hexxit Education. Class dismissed.